All right, we are. This is John Krysinsky with Jordan Smith, Pittsburgh Soccer Now, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Game 4 of the 2023 season. It was really a tussle in Tulsa, wasn't it, Jordan? I mean, a lot of I don't know, choppy play. The Hounds were really trying to press the issue, press Tulsa into oblivion, try to make them turn it over and then create chances, and they kept trying to do that all night and really nothing. Well, it was a bit controversial as well. They did create one goal scoring opportunity. It was taken away by a foul called on Albert as he collided Nelson, the keeper from Tulsa. But Jordan, it was really a tussle in Tulsa, wasn't it?
Yeah, I like your use of alliteration there. Yeah, it's weird. The first 35 minutes, it just reminded me of the first 80 minutes of the home opener game against Miami, where just nothing happened and it's just boring soccer. But then it started to open up at the end of the first half. But yeah, just choppy play. You can tell it's early on in the season. Uh, no execution, as I tweeted out from in the final third from both sides. I mean, it down to the last minute, which the game went to like the 110th minute. The Hounds had a chance at the end there and just still couldn't put it away. It was an odd game, that's for sure.
It was the Hounds really did try to force some mistakes from Tulsa out of the back, and they were swarming around and they were intercepting passes, but then Tulsa would get behind them, and then they would give a ball away, and it was just very rarely did they were able to like really connect passes and get it into the final third, and then it was usually like then the Hounds would get the ball and then they would turn it back over, and then Tulsa would it was like it just there was no rhythm, a lot of whistles. If you look at the possession, obviously was 70% Tulsa and 30% Hounds,
Mhm.
and I think that was by design. I think Bob Lilly wanted it that way. But you look at I mean, tackle attempts. The Hounds had 23 tackles, 12 clearances. Defensively, they were trying a lot of different things. They had 13 interceptions, but I think 10 of those came in the first half. Um,
Mhm.
it was just choppy all the way around. And then, of course, from a foul standpoint, the Hounds had 18, Tulsa with 15. Um, just just neither side could really. I mean, they were generating chances. The Tulsa had, I believe, they finished the match kind of catching up to the Hounds in terms of shots on goal. But shots, I should say, they had seven, but the Hounds had 18. But they did not have a single shot on frame in the second half. And I
Yeah, somehow. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think Lilly, by design, I think he was fine with those possession numbers the way they were because, when your team is passing it around so fluidly, you just kind of get relaxed doing that. And then that's when the Hounds were taking their chances, pouncing on them, causing those quick turnovers. They were decent on the counterattack throughout the night. And as things picked up at the end of that first half, and then they come back out for halftime, I like the Mertz sub, putting him back out there beginning the second half. And that like first 10, 15 minutes in the second half, I thought that's probably the best the Riverhounds played. But then they subbed out Kenny. But there was just no rhythm, like you were saying. I mean, literally every 5 to 10 minutes there was another guy down. And hopefully Edo for the Hounds is okay. They had to get the stretcher out there at the
yeah.
end of the game, and it took them like 10 minutes to blow the final whistle. But yeah, just lots of injuries. It wasn't like a hateful game. The players weren't getting mad at each other too much. I've seen games get way more out of hand,
Mhm.
but there was no rhythm at all.
Yeah, I think it was about style. It was about like the chess match of what Bob was trying to do and trying to get the Hounds to really disrupt Tulsa's rhythm. And like I said, they were swarming around, and it was like it was just chaotic both ways around. And the Hounds finally like would get the ball in the deep, in the back third or in the deeper part of the midfield. It seemed like they if they got it out wide and then got it up quickly, it worked. But then if they tried to kind of play it back through the middle, it seemed like Tulsa was intercepting passes too. It was just a little chaotic. So let's go back to the first half. Let's talk about that in controversial play. You know, Dequa,
Yeah.
it's direct. The Hounds at times, and Bob said this, they'll try to, you know, catch somebody off guard and play direct if they feel like they have a chance or a moment. And they did that in that instant. And Dequa, you know, he made a run. It's clear that, especially when you slow down the play or you watch it multiple times, it's clear that he got to the ball with his head before they made the impact. Now the question is, was he coming in reckless? Right? Was that the call? Like the media gets an opportunity to interview and ask the refs those difficult questions if we want to after a match. Obviously, I don't know who's the working media in Tulsa, but that's a question I'd love to have had an opportunity to ask the officials. What was what was his ruling on that, or they just miss it?
Yeah, it's a tough play. I mean, obviously, if you're a Tulsa fan, you're happy with that call. You know, trying to look at this not being biased at all. In my opinion, it's a goal because I think Dequa was looking at all the whole time up and just simply won the header. And the broadcaster mentioned a good point that if that was a collision with a defender, then it's probably gonna count. It's not going to be a foul and going the other way. I think it's one of those scenarios where you see the keeper hurt and in pain, and then the ref goes, you know what? He hit him hard. Doesn't count. If maybe he bumps the keeper, but the keeper gets up immediately, runs backwards or something, he's trying to save the ball, then maybe it does count. But I see that. Yeah, I relate things to hockey all the time, but I see that in hockey all the time where it's a clean hit, but then the guy gets hurt, so then they call the penalty. You know, it's unfortunate that the keeper got hurt and had to exit the game. Nelson had to leave early on. But to me, it's a good goal. But Tulsa also, they scored as well in the second half, and they ended up getting called off sides. They didn't show any replay on the ESPN Plus, so you know, not. I'm sure the ref was probably right on the call. So, but yeah, interesting that kind of happened for both teams tonight.
Yeah, it really did. And that offside call was, you know, again, we didn't have the opportunity to see, well, also see it from the proper angle.
Yeah.
The camera angle wasn't in the proper position, at least for in the run of play. So yeah, so this match finished with 18. The Hounds had 18 shots and Tulsa 7. You know, I think they really tried to get that. They wanted that early goal. I think they were pushing. They really wanted to get that early goal and just really stifle Tulsa all night long. And they pretty much did that. And I think that it was interesting to see the lineup set up. You know, Bob said that they were going to see a lot of new faces in the lineup, and we certainly did. And I put a projected lineup out, and it was pretty close. You know, in terms of Luke Biasi getting his first start, you know, Joe Farrell getting his first start this year with the Hounds, you know, Burke Falling and Tony Lopez and Tola Shonumi. So, you know, they all got their starts, and then we saw DZ Harmon, and also we saw a very, very, very late. You know, we saw Trevor Zweltsloot, the New Zealand product. So we got to see that squad rotation big time tonight. And I don't know what your thoughts were on some of those newer guys that maybe you haven't seen a lot of.
Yeah, lots of it. Looking back at my notes, because I do this all the time, writing with my OCD. Yeah, obviously the Keys a late sub. I thought that was I figured that was going to happen because they had used 3 subs, and I'm like, well, they got one more forward on the bench here, so I'm like, they're probably going to throw in Kiza, which they did. I didn't see too much. I mean, he just wasn't really on the ball that much. The end of the game was just sloppy. Harmon at the end there, he unfortunately blocked Ybarra's shot. Ybarra had that chance, and Harmon unfortunately blocked it. And then Ybarra's second opportunity on the shot, he fanned on it basically. And the Hounds really could have closed out the game after a long break with Edo's injury. Um, Burke falling, I was that his first start outside mid. I think it was his first start of the season.
Yeah, that was his first start. Of course, came off the bench the previous games, and of course made
Yeah.
it in the last home game. I'm trying to get the offensive player stats on the match center, and it's telling me the two team options are San Antonio FC and Colorado Springs Switchbacks.
Oh
So
God.
I'm not getting too far, but I did want to mention though Tony Lopez did have
Yeah,
a couple of opportunities. I thought
he
he
did.
good in his moments. He had a one shot on frame that definitely forced the backup keeper into making a save, Warmel, and he looked in a couple different sequences, showed why maybe he's a guy that when I mentioned early in the season, Bob Lilly was kind of excited about. Got some of these other players that will push the season player, the regulars that started the first two games maybe into starting spots. But Tony Lopez, I thought looked good in his moments. You know, the question is from Bob's perspective is, did everyone play both ways the way he wanted to see that? And I thought, in terms of defensively or what they were trying to do in terms of pressing, there was a lot of support. And so essentially the ball played to the side, one in front, one to the side, and then everybody's kind of swarming in behind. And Tulsa really didn't have a lot of, I think when Tulsa was effective, they were patient. They played it back around, switch,
Mhm.
that type of thing. But it was just seemed like the whole game was being played, Tulsa trying to play it out, and in both teams just kind of struggling to keep maintain any kind of extended possession.
Yeah, I definitely saw Tulsa switching the field of play a lot more often than Riverhounds did. Riverhounds, it was basically just win the ball on the counterattack and just go direct, go forward, maybe find Mertz out wide, cross it in. They had a couple good crosses there in the second half. Um, but the back line, I felt like did their job. So far, what I'm really liking this year from them is that guys like who started Dos Santos or Ordonez, Farrell, Luke Biasi, and then also Hogan, who we've seen start the past couple games. What I like from them is there's a lot of speed. I feel like they can keep up with forwards on the other team, while the back line of the past couple seasons, not that they were bad players, but they were your old style center back, Jelani Peters, Mikhail Williams, more like bigger, stiffer center backs. So when Bob beginning of the year is getting all these young players, and I think maybe that might fit his defensive style, is these defensive players who can keep up with more new age fullbacks that can move up the wings, create have pace, create opportunities when they can.
Well, also they've strictly gone, except late in games when they've had leads or sometimes pushing, but when they bring in the third center back, but they've almost exclusively gone 4-2-3-1 or four in the back
Yep.
season with the two center back situation with it, so I think they're keeping it a little bit more, they're just trying to keep a little bit more numbers back there where they're not really being stretched out as much this year as maybe we've seen in the past. Especially remember in times last year when they were playing a lot of those three center backs, they were getting beat.
Yep.
Remember all those times they would get beat on direct.
Oh, so much, especially against like Miami.
I just don't see it that this just
Yeah.
getting beat that way this year, which is
Yeah.
a really good sign. So they've been beat. So if you look at the three goals they've given up, they've been, one was on a corner kick where they weren't quite marking well enough. And then the other two goals, I mean, I think they were more in just a missing an assignment or a defensive lapse like the last game where, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, Miami didn't do anything all game and then just kind of bulldozed their way through. you know,
Just ball watching.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was obviously a lapse,
Yeah.
but 4 games, 3 goals. I think they're defensively they're very solid this year, and I think it seems like they're getting better with each game.
Yeah, that's a good point you brought up because last year it was just always getting beat direct, and that's why I brought up the pace because it was like those defensemen last year could not, the defenders could not keep up with the pace and sprint back all game and handle that. Um, so now it's like the opposite of the issue. Last year you had so much strength in Cicerone, Alex Dixon, Forbes and Mertz, all these guys creating, and you still have Forbes and Mertz, but so far, we're just 4 games in, but it feels like you're relying on a Dikwa hat trick or one amazing play by Dikwa to get a goal. And I remember when I predicted the in the first article of the year when we all did our predictions and stuff for the standings and all that, I just predicted a ton of ties that the Hounds would get this year because I'm just not sure how they're going to score tons of goals. I think playing Lily ball and working hard, I know they will. I don't think they're going to give up too many goals, and all time under Bob they've given up less than a goal per game, so I don't think they're going to give up many goals, but will they score enough this year? And that's what you need to do in the playoffs, frankly.
Absolutely. I think that's the feeling, and I tweeted that towards the end of the match that I picked, I think, 10 draws this year. Could be more. I mean, they're
Yeah, it could.
1-0, 1-0, and 3. I mean,
Yeah.
these things always seem to level out, especially
Yeah, eventually.
they find ways to win. But I remember the one year I think it was it was either his first or his second year in Pittsburgh. They were like 2-7-2 to start the seven. I mean, 7 ties. So it was 2-2,
Yeah.
2-1, whatever it was. So they were undefeated for a while at one point. The first they didn't give up a goal like the first 4.5 games. So I think, especially with the new group, I think they're just really focused on being locked in terms of their shape, in terms of make sure they're defending. And tonight was the first time this year where they really were all about the counter. They tried that approach on a smaller field. It's a baseball field. They've had success in the past. I remember playing at Slugger Field and in Memphis.
Mhm.
They've had success playing that way, and I think they really thought they could sniff out a win that way again tonight. So it didn't happen. They have 1 win. They have no losses and 3 draws, and now they have about I don't know, what do you say, about a 9-day layoff before the next match. Now they'll have to travel again. They're traveling. They're only 1 home game in April.
Wow.
Which undefeated. They have 1 home game in April, April 15th, against the Rio Grande Toros, and otherwise they're the Road Warriors. Really, they're going to continue to be the Road Warriors. They're going to play Colorado Springs. Then they come home for the April 15th match. Then I think they're on the road for 3 more matches. We don't even know where they're going to end up in the third round of the U.S. Open Cup. So for Riverhounds fans, probably hoping that week in April 21st/25th, that week, that they get the weekday home game in the Open.
Mhm.
It potentially could be against an MLS side, or it could be against a winner of the second round match. So we're going to be paying close attention next week. While the Hounds aren't Saturday, the Open Cup second round will be going on. So that will be something that we'll be paying close attention to. And then the draw will happen probably on Friday, probably Thursday or Friday, April 6th or April 7th. So we'll be on the lookout for that. And then we'll find out who they play in the Open Cup about 2 weeks later. So it will be interesting to see. But they have the advantages. I mean, yes, they're on the road a lot early in the season in the league, but that might come to benefit them if they just keep grinding out results. What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, honestly, I think that's a nice way the schedule set up for them. Is the weather's still crappy. I mean, it kind of is everywhere, but it's still a little bit cold, still raining a bit in Pittsburgh. Go out on the road, travel, get your kinks out for the year, and then return home when it's nice and sunny, and expect to have bigger crowds for there at Highmark Stadium, and My final thoughts on the game tonight, going back to what you're saying with the 4-2-3-1 style that the Riverhounds are seem to be consistently playing now, and they kind of picked up starting to play that formation at the end of last year, especially in the playoff run and stuff. But it's interesting because FC Tulsa also played a 4-2-3-1 tonight. But the way they were playing it was the way the Hounds kind of played it last year, where it was more possession based. Because I just keep coming back to Danny Griffin, who I keep thinking of because he was a possession guy, rarely lost the ball. 150-50s, him, Kenny, Robbie, Dixon, they kept the ball. But then it's odd now seeing the Hounds tonight playing a completely different style, like just counterattacking, just trying to be an opportunistic team. So I wonder if they're going to settle in at all to earning more possession as we move forward. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the U.S. Open Cup.
I just think it was by design tonight. I think that
Yeah, my
they outpossessed Birmingham in Birmingham. They controlled Memphis. It wasn't about so much about the possession, and they definitely controlled possession against Miami. So I think it depends. We are going to be, see what happens tonight. Hopefully, Junior Etau is going to be okay. He was on the stretcher. And he is really the replacement for Danny Griffin. He's the guy, a different type of player. His recovery, his ability, you talk about speed in the back. That's another guy that helps, that has really helped through 4 games, really made a difference defensively. And I don't know. I think that he's not super as efficient as Danny Griffin was in the mid 80s passing accuracy, but he's not being asked to do that. He's being cover win balls back and then get it to Robbie, get it to Kenny, get it to Mark Ribara. Mark Ribara has played a lot this year in his first 4 games. Bob Lilly has shown a lot of faith in him, and he's a little bit the first few games. I think the last few games I've seen him certainly improve. And tonight, I mean, honestly, he laid Mertz a beautiful ball that I don't know what happened. Robbie just didn't get a good first touch on it. A chance there late near stoppage time as well. So I think Ybarra is a guy that I think we'll just watch and see how he continues to develop. Could he be more like that? A little bit different player than Danny Griffin, but he could be very accurate. He was an assist machine in college. Etau, depending on, hopefully his injury, he's not too bad. It'll be interesting to see how they adjust. And who knows, now that the pickup of Trevor Zwetsloot, the Kiwi from New Zealand, like he may be a key addition now, especially if Etau's out and not going to be able to play. That's a position he can play as well. So we'll see. There's 9 days until the next game. They'll play the Colorado Switchbacks, Colorado Springs Switchbacks. The Hounds have never played Colorado Springs. The Colorado Springs has been around in the USL for a while. So we'll be interesting to see. That'll be another road game Saturday night, April. I believe that's the 8th. So we'll be that'll be the next time they lace it up. So Jordan, I was just saying real quick, man of the match, if you count the goal, it's Albert Equal would have, scored tonight. But not only that, I mean, think about this. I don't think he subbed out 1 game for a few minutes. I know Ordonez has played every minute of every match, but I mean, I think Dequa's being asked to do a lot more in terms of covering ground. That is just, I think it was impressive. I just didn't think he would start tonight. I was like, there's no way they're going to start him tonight. He, playing up top. I figured that was and Bob went and just rolled him out there. I mean,
I thought the same thing, or I thought they were going to sub him out in the second half, but they didn't.
Yeah. So, hey, that's where it is. The Hounds are, have that win. They have 3 ties and 4 matches. And, they're not in a terrible place, but there's definitely a lot of work.
Yeah, I agree. Gotta get more goals. Gotta find them somehow.
All right, Jordan. Well, thanks for joining me here on Riverhounds post game. This has been, it was a grind to get through watching that, and I guess it was a grind for us
Yeah.
to post game show as well. But again, thanks for joining me, and we'll be seeing you out probably after one of these Hounds games again.
Yep. Thanks, Sean. Thank you everybody for listening.
All right. Good night.
Good night.